The first time I used a film camera was in high school. I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was my first real introduction to photography. And I got some decent photos out of it. Definitely not many, but some. The second time I used a film camera was in college. A Bolex 16mm motion picture camera from the 60s. It weighed 40 pounds and could only shoot 2.5 minutes worth of footage at a time, but it was beautiful. I made so many things with that camera, but once I graduated, I didn't really have access to that kind of equipment anymore. And now shooting film has seemingly been reduced to just another hipster hobby. But I think it's interesting that this method was how a lot of people have captured their oldest and most precious home movies. Filming something had to be very deliberate, and people had to choose carefully which moments to record. Having a camera in our pockets everywhere we go is great, because it allows us to take more pictures than ever. But it also means that we take so many photos that are just meant to be thrown away. Having infinite possibilities makes you far less precious about what moments to save. And here's my hot take. In practice, the iPhone is more of a disposable camera than the ones that you literally throw away. So I think now more than ever, it feels like shooting film is about the pictures that you really want to keep. A while ago, I was given this old Pentax camera and zoom lens on the promise that it was going to someone who would actually use it. I decided it was time I kept that promise, find some memories to keep, and put that camera to good use. I started out by just walking around and taking photos of things that I found interesting, just so I could get back into the hang of using a film camera again. But I actually do really like the way that these first two photos turned out. Not to sound too insanely pretentious, but I feel like they just really look like history, you know what I mean? But that's enough egomania for one video. Sadly, this camera isn't completely functional because the light meter is broken. It's likely because the battery is too old, and since it's kind of hard to replace, I've just been using a light meter app on my phone. But that still doesn't make me completely immune from just fucking up the exposure anyways. Shit. This is making some not so good noises, and it feels jammed, so I really don't want to ruin this whole roll, so I'm gonna try to take it out. Okay, I'm pretty sure everything's alright. I took the other roll out and successfully loaded another roll of black and white in. All of this takes time, and photography is so instant now, but even with digital cameras and phones, it's still possible to miss the shot that you had in mind. But with film, that does make it an even bigger victory when you do manage to get it right. So I'm actually close to the end of my second black and white roll, and I figured like I was brave enough to just go ahead and buy some color film and see how that roll turns out too. So I just headed over to my local photo store and picked something up. Picked up some Kodak Gold 200, very basic, not exactly like the nicest, but you know, this could come out blank for all I know. Shit. So I'm a little worried about actually all of my black and white rolls because I think I've been metering wrong. I have this light meter app, and I just realized in changing the settings to adjust for the color film that I think I've had the ISO set like astronomically low, and so that's not great, and I think I accidentally may have underexposed the shit out of those first two rolls. I really hope not, but you know, yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I overexposed them. I'm too worried about it to do the calculations now. I went to school for this, I swear. Shit. So I don't know. The possibility that these rolls could turn out blank is now a little bit higher than I thought it would be. But hopefully that means the color film is fine. Maybe. I'm about to go camping for probably the last time this season with two of my friends from high school. I have not seen them in at least 8 months, obviously, and I'm hoping that this will be another time where I can just kind of use my film camera to memorialize the people that I haven't seen in almost a year now. Rudy! Rudy! Oh, wow, good boy alert.
Oh. I already had some fun with the whole thing.
Yeah, I set it on fire. So, the past few weeks, I have basically just spent cleaning, putting together furniture, and even doing a little bit of painting. And that's basically because I live here now. Why do I live here now? Well, there is a very nice man who I love, and I was basically coming here to see him every day anyways, so I moved in. Back in March, when I decided to clean up this old camera and buy some film, I thought taking film photos would just be an interesting quarantine hobby. But now it feels like something more. There are plenty of videos out there that show you the basics of using a camera like this, so I won't bore you with that. Plus, I barely know what the fuck I'm doing, as evidenced by my earlier mistake with all the exposures on the black and white film, but the need to put that little bit of thought, time, and effort into a single shot is something that forces you to appreciate every frame. And hell, I guess there's nothing I like more than making a lot of unnecessary work for myself. So I actually have developed and made my own prints before, but that was back in college. I don't have access to that kind of equipment anymore or the chemicals, and I would most likely just completely fuck it up anyways. So I am sending this film off to be developed and scanned at Northeast Photographic, which is one of the few independent film labs in the New England area. Basically, there are very few places left that do this, and thankfully they were very willing to deal with my inexperienced self. Earlier, I said that film was about the pictures you want to keep. But ironically, it also forces you not to be too precious about any of it. A number of things can go wrong that aren't even obvious until after the film has been developed, so you kind of go into it having to be okay with the possibility of it all being destroyed. I can only hope that I managed to capture some memorable frames from the past 9 months. I know they aren't like the memories I made in high school, and they certainly aren't like the ones my grandparents made decades ago, but these are my memories to hold on to.